She didn't come back for a wedding. She came back for an answer. Red dust swirled across the Martian horizon, carried by a cold wind that whispered across the colony. The small domes of the settlement gleamed faintly under the weak sun, but today the dust made everything look blurred and unreal. Life on Mars was never easy, and for those who lived here, every day was a struggle against the planet itself. From the edge of the colony, a transport ship descended slowly, kicking up a storm of red particles that obscured its landing. Citizens looked up from their routines, shielding their eyes. Whispers began almost immediately. "Is it a new visitor?" one child asked. "No, that's Elara Dane's ship," said an older worker, a hint of awe and disbelief in his voice. Elara Dane had been gone for 10 years. 10 long years since she had left the colony with promises of returning for a wedding, promises that had never come true. Now, here she was, stepping off the ship with a measured calm that did not match the energy surrounding her arrival. She walked with a steady pace, her eyes sharp, scanning the colony. Her clothes were formal, like someone had expected a celebration, yet her face betrayed none of the excitement that usually accompanied such occasions. There were no smiles, no greetings, only an urgent purpose in every step she took. Commander Jarek Voss, the colony leader, was among the first to approach her. He had aged slightly, but his posture remained commanding. When he saw Elara, a flash of emotion crossed his face. Shock, relief, and a hint of anger. "Elara," he said carefully, masking his feelings. "You returned," I thought. He stopped, unsure of what to say. The colony had long given up hope of seeing her again. "I didn't come back for a wedding, Jarek," she said quietly, but firmly. Her voice carried the weight of years of absence and secrets left unspoken. "I came back for an answer." Her words sent a ripple through the small crowd that had gathered. Murmurs grew louder, questions flying in every direction. People who had waited for her return for reasons they didn't fully understand were now confused, some even fearful. Jarek motioned for her to follow him. "Then come with me. The ceremony, everyone else, they can wait." She nodded, keeping her gaze steady. The colony celebration had been prepared, banners still hung across the central dome, and the air smelled faintly of artificial flowers and recycled food. But Elara ignored it all. Her destination lay somewhere else, somewhere far more important than social expectations or emotional reunions. The two of them walked through the settlement in silence, past familiar streets, past the workshops and hydroponic gardens that had changed little over the decade. Citizens peeked out of windows and doorways, trying to glimpse her face, trying to understand why the woman who had once promised to return for love was now back with a purpose so serious it made the air feel heavier. Finally, they reached the old laboratory, a structure half buried under layers of dust and sand. Its doors were rusted, systems offline, but the place still held memories of experiments that had been left unfinished and mysteries that no one had dared solve. Elara stepped forward, brushing her hand against the door's cold metal. She paused for a moment, eyes closing as if she were listening to something invisible, something only she could hear. Then, with a deep breath, she pushed the door open. The inside smelled of metal and old electronics, the faint tang of ozone lingering in the air. Jarek followed cautiously. "You haven't touched this place in 10 years, he said. "What are you looking for?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked straight to a corner of the lab, where a small console blinked faintly, powered by a backup battery that had somehow survived the years. Her fingers danced across the controls, waking systems that had lain dormant for a decade. Screens flickered to life, showing graphs, streams of numbers and symbols only she could read. "I received a message," Elara said at last, her voice tight with urgency. "A message meant only for me. It mentions him and the colony. I need to understand it before it's too late." Jarek's eyes narrowed. "Him? My fiancé?" she said simply. "He disappeared years ago. I thought I would never see him again. But this message, it could tell me where he is, what happened, maybe even why I left everything behind." Jarek considered this silently. He had always suspected that her departure had been more than personal choice, that it had been tied to something beyond the colony's understanding. Now, with her return, that suspicion was confirmed. Meanwhile, the colony outside was beginning to notice odd occurrences. Sensors flickered, lights dimmed and brightened unpredictably, and small drones used for maintenance began to behave strangely. Nothing was dangerous yet, but it was enough to set the citizens on edge. Some whispered of alien interference, others muttered about technology failing after years of neglect. Elara ignored the distractions. She was focused entirely on the console, interpreting streams of data and translating it into meaningful patterns. Hours passed, yet it felt like minutes. Her mind worked faster than any machine, weaving together fragments of information, drawing connections others would never see. Finally, she leaned back, eyes wide, heart racing. The data made sense now. It wasn't just a message. It was a signal, something intelligent, something deliberate, something that had waited years for her to return.
Jarek watched her, uneasy.
What is it?" he asked. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pointed to the screen. Patterns of light and energy, strange and complex, moved across the displays. "It's a communication," she said. "Not from Earth, not from any human. It's from something else, something alive, and it knows him, my fiancé. It's waiting for me to respond." A silence fell over the lab, heavy with tension. Jarek felt a chill run down his spine. The human mind could understand technology, nature, and even each other. But this? This was beyond comprehension, beyond control. And yet, Alara's eyes were filled with determination, not fear. "You're saying it's intelligent?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," she replied, "and it's patient. It has waited for me, for this moment." Outside, the wind howled, kicking up more red dust. Inside, the lab was quiet except for the hum of revived machines and the faint whisper of something unknown reaching out through the signals. The colony carried on, unaware of the storm brewing beneath their feet, of the message that could change everything they thought they knew. Alara finally turned to Jarek. "I need your help," she said. "I can't do this alone. If I fail, if I misread this, the consequences could reach far beyond this colony." Jarek hesitated. He had always trusted Alara's mind, her brilliance, but this was unlike anything he had faced. And yet, looking into her eyes, he knew he could not refuse. "Then we face it together," he said. A faint smile touched her lips, the first in years. "Thank you," she said. "Let's find the answer." As the sun began to dip below the Martian horizon, casting long shadows across the red plains, Alara felt the weight of the past 10 years lift slightly. She hadn't come back for a wedding, nor for closure, nor for celebration. She had come back for an answer, and she would not leave without it. And somewhere beneath the layers of dust and silence, the signal waited, patient, deliberate, alive. The colony slept fitfully under the weak Martian night. Dust storms rumbled in the distance, shaking the thin walls of the domes, but inside, the people tried to continue their lives as normal. Yet a tension hung in the air, invisible but palpable. Something had changed. Alara Dane had not spoken much since arriving at the lab the night before. She had spent hours examining the alien signal, reading the strange patterns of energy that pulsed across her console. To anyone else it would have been meaningless, just lines and colors blinking on a screen. But to Alara, it was a language, a rhythm, a story waiting to be told. Commander Jarek Voss sat across from her, watching her work. He had not slept. He hadn't wanted to leave her alone. The colony had depended on her once before, and now it seemed she would again. "Alara?" he asked cautiously. "What exactly are we dealing with here? Are you sure it's not some natural anomaly?" She shook her head, eyes fixed on the screen. "No," she said. "It's intelligent. It's deliberate. I've seen anomalies before, dust storms, radiation spikes, but this is different. It's waiting for me to understand it. It knows me, and it knows him." Jarek frowned. "Your fiancé?" "Yes," she whispered, her voice almost lost in the hum of the machines. "He disappeared years ago. I thought I'd never see him again. But the message, it mentions him. I don't know why or how, but he is part of this. I have to find out the truth." She turned back to the console, typing quickly, pulling up old research notes, experimental records, and encrypted files that had lain untouched for a decade. Her fingers flew over the controls, pulling fragments of information together. Graphs aligned, signals became patterns, numbers formed shapes, and slowly, clarity began to emerge. Hours passed and the lab grew cold. Jarek noticed the colony's systems beginning to flicker. Lights dimmed, maintenance drones stopped moving in strange jerks, and some sensors displayed impossible readings. "Alara," he said, standing, "the colony's systems, they're reacting to what you're doing. Is this safe?" She didn't look up. "I think the signal is interacting with our technology. It's curious about us, and it's using the colony's systems to reach me." She paused, her brow furrowed. "It's testing, observing, maybe even communicating in ways we don't yet understand. Outside, a small group of citizens had gathered near the lab's reinforced windows. They whispered in fear and awe. Machines failing, lights flickering. It was unsettling, but it wasn't aggressive. Not yet. Still, humans had learned long ago to fear what they did not understand. Alara finally leaned back in her chair, eyes weary but sharp. "I can trace part of the signal to a location," she said. "Beneath the colony. Deep underground. It's not far, but it's hidden. Someone is there." Jarek's eyes widened. "Underground? That's dangerous. There are tunnels, abandoned storage areas, radiation pockets. We don't know what's down there." "I know," she said softly, "but I have to go. If the message is connected to him, to my fiancé, I can't wait." Jarek studied her for a long moment. He had known Alara for years, had seen her make impossible calculations, survive situations that should have killed her, and now he knew she would not be swayed by fear. "Then we go together," he said finally. "You don't have to do this alone." The next morning, the two of them prepared to descend into the underground tunnels. They brought with them tools, portable sensors, and a small team of trusted colony engineers. The tunnels were a maze, dark and silent except for the faint hum of old ventilation systems. Dust crunched under their boots as they walked, and shadows flickered in the faint light of their headlamps. Alara led the way, following patterns only she could interpret from the signal. "It's not random," she said. "It's guiding me." Hours passed as they moved deeper into the tunnels. At one point, a maintenance drone whirred to life unexpectedly, hovering near them. Its sensors flickered, scanning, but it did not attack. Alara knelt beside it, holding out her hand. "It's curious," she said. "It's not hostile, it's learning." The drone paused, then slowly backed away, spinning in the air before returning to its dormant state. Jarek watched in disbelief. "You're saying the machines themselves are communicating?" "Yes," Alara said. "They're part of the signal now. It's not just beneath the colony. It's everywhere here." As they moved further, the temperature began to drop. The walls of the tunnels pulsed faintly with an unearthly glow, following the rhythm of the signal. The engineers whispered nervously. "This isn't natural," one of them said. Alara nodded. "I know, but it's not dangerous. Yet. Not if we understand it. That's why I came back. To understand it before it becomes something we cannot control." Finally, they reached a chamber deep beneath the colony. It was large, dome-shaped, and its walls glimmered with the same strange light that had guided them. At the center stood a structure unlike anything human. A smooth, metallic artifact hummed softly, sending ripples of energy through the air. Alara stepped forward, awe in her eyes. "It's alive," she whispered. "Not alive like us, but conscious. Intelligent. And it's been waiting." Jarek took a cautious step forward. Waiting for what? The artifact pulsed, and a voice not spoken but understood in the mind filled Alara's thoughts. "Find him. Restore what was lost." "Understand the choice." Alara's heart raced. "It knows him," she said aloud. "It knows my fiancé. It wants something from me." Jarek looked at her, concern evident. "And what if it's dangerous? What if it's a trap?" She shook her head. "I don't think it's a trap. Not in the way we understand. But it is testing me. Testing our humanity. That's why humans survive where others fail, Jarek. We adapt, we learn, we create solutions where others see only obstacles. That's what it wants to see." The team spread out, taking readings. The artifact emitted energy waves that interfered with their instruments. Lights flickered, small sparks jumped from exposed circuits, and yet the humans remained calm, improvising solutions with nothing but their knowledge and instinct. Hours passed in the underground chamber, the team working tirelessly. Alara decoded more of the signals, uncovering fragments of messages. The artifact spoke of her fiancé, trapped in a network of consciousness beyond human comprehension. But it did not explain why or how. A sudden tremor shook the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling, and one of the engineers stumbled. "What was that?" Jarek shouted. Alara's eyes were fixed on the console. "It's responding to our presence. It senses us fully now. We have to be careful. Every action we take, every decision, it observes and records." The artifact's energy intensified, and small drones in the chamber began to move again, their sensors glowing. They hovered near the team but did not strike. It was clear that the artifact could control technology in the colony above, but for now it was curious, testing the limits of human ingenuity. Alara smiled faintly, exhaustion lining her face. "It's exactly as I thought. It wants to see if humans are capable of solving what seems impossible. That's why it reached me, and why I came back." Jarek shook his head. "You never cease to amaze me." "You really believe humans can outsmart something like this?" "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "We survive where others fail because we never give up. We find solutions, we adapt. That is what makes us human, and that is why I am here, to prove it and to save him." The chamber grew quiet, the artifact's pulse slowing to a gentle rhythm. Outside, the Martian wind continued to howl, but inside, humans stood together, unafraid, working to understand the unknown. It was a test of patience, intelligence, and courage, and Ilara was determined to see it through. As the night stretched on, the artifact seemed to respond subtly to her presence, almost as if acknowledging her determination. She had found the first pieces of the puzzle. But the real challenge was still ahead, deciphering the full message, understanding the artifact's intentions, and reaching the truth about her fiancé. And somewhere deep within the glowing heart of the chamber, the signal waited, patient, deliberate, and alive. The underground chamber pulsed with a soft, eerie light. The walls shimmered as if alive, reflecting colors that no human had names for. Ilara Dane stood at the center, eyes fixed on the alien artifact that had drawn her here. Its metallic surface rippled, almost breathing, and the air vibrated faintly with an energy that made the hair on her arms stand. Commander Jarek Voss stepped cautiously behind her. "Ilara, are you sure we should be this close?" he whispered. He glanced at the engineers who had followed them, faces tense, hands gripping tools they barely understood how to use. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she knelt and placed her hand on the artifact. The glow intensified at her touch, sending soft waves across the floor. She felt it, not with her eyes, but inside her mind. A voice, not spoken aloud, filled her thoughts. "You came back for him. Now you must choose." Her heart raced. "Choose what?" she asked aloud, even though she knew the answer would not be spoken. The artifact pulsed, and a vision filled her mind. She saw her fiancé trapped, moving through corridors of light and energy, alive yet unreachable. She could see his fear, his confusion, but also a strange calm, as if he knew she would come. Jarek stepped closer, resting a hand on her shoulder. "Ilara, what's happening? What is it showing you?" "It's him," she whispered, voice trembling. "He's alive, but not in a way I can touch. He's part of something bigger, something beyond our technology, beyond our understanding. And it's testing me, seeing if I can solve what seems impossible." The artifact's energy grew stronger, and the drones that had been dormant now swirled around the chamber in intricate patterns, scanning, analyzing, and almost communicating. The engineers backed away slightly, unsure whether to be afraid or fascinated. Ilara took a deep breath. "We need to stabilize this energy first," she said. "If we fail, it could spread through the colony, controlling the systems above." She turned to Jarek. "I need your help." "The machines are reacting to me, but I can't manage them all alone." Jarek nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "What do you need me to do?" "Focus on rerouting the energy flows," she said. "I can decode the signal better if the chamber is stable. Keep an eye on the drones. They're curious, not hostile, but they'll interfere if they sense mistakes." They worked together, humans against the unknown, improvising tools and methods with whatever they had. Ilara adjusted circuits, aligned sensors, and traced patterns in the energy waves. Jarek coordinated the team, stabilizing power and managing the drone's erratic movements. Each small success was a victory, a proof that humans could face something alien and adapt. Hours passed. Sweat ran down Ilara's face, but she never stopped, never wavered. She felt the artifact pulsing beneath her hands like a heartbeat, and it seemed to respond to her determination. She deciphered a message embedded in the energy. Her fiancé had been trapped accidentally when experimenting with an alien consciousness network long ago. The artifact had preserved him, observing and learning, waiting for someone capable enough to release him. Suddenly, a tremor shook the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the drones swarmed aggressively, blocking their access to the central artifact. The engineers panicked, but Jarek shouted, "Stay focused! Humans survive by thinking, not by fearing!" Ilara's mind raced. She realized the artifact was not trying to harm them. It was challenging them. It wanted to see if humans could overcome obstacles using intelligence, creativity, and courage. That was the key. Think like it thinks, she muttered. Anticipate its moves, respond calmly, don't panic. It tests emotions, reactions, problem solving. We can outthink it. Jarek followed her lead, issuing instructions to the team, who slowly regained composure. Using improvised magnetic shields, they redirected the energy flows, calming the drones and stabilizing the chamber. Every adjustment required precision, every decision mattered, but humans proved they could adapt where technology alone would fail. The artifact pulsed one final time, and a clear message appeared in Alara's mind. Choose, save him or protect the colony. Her breath caught. It was not a simple task. Saving her fiancé meant risking the colony's systems. Protecting the colony could leave him trapped forever. She had to find a solution that balanced both. Her eyes darted around the chamber. The walls of the dome glimmered faintly. The drones moved rhythmically, their positions forming patterns that mirrored the signal. Inspiration struck. "We can do both," she said, almost to herself. "We can use the energy pulse to stabilize the colony while freeing him." Jarek raised an eyebrow. "You're going to hack the artifact with its own energy?" "Yes," she said firmly. "It's a risk, but humans survive risks by adapting, creating solutions where others see only obstacles." The team gathered around her as she set up a pulse generator using the colony's portable energy units. Wires, circuits, and sensors were hastily arranged into a complex grid. Every move had to be precise. Mistakes could destroy the chamber, the colony, or worse. "Ready?" Jarek asked, his hand on the switch. Alara nodded, eyes locked on the artifact. "Now." The pulse surged through the chamber. Light exploded in waves, energy rippling outward. Drones scattered, then paused, responding to the controlled pulse. The walls shimmered violently, then gradually settled into a soft, steady glow. The artifact vibrated and shifted, as if acknowledging human ingenuity. A vision appeared before Alara, her fiancé, walking through corridors of light, free at last. Relief and joy filled her heart, but the pulse continued, reaching upward, stabilizing the colony's systems, neutralizing interference, and ensuring that all machinery returned to normal. Jarek exhaled, exhaustion mixing with awe. You did it." Alara smiled faintly, though tears threatened to fall. "We did it. Humans do not surrender to the unknown. We adapt, we solve, and we survive." The artifact dimmed, its energy settling into a calm, rhythmic pulse. It had tested them and found them worthy. Somewhere, deep within its consciousness, it now recognized the strength, intelligence, and resilience of humanity. Her fiancé appeared in the chamber, stepping out from a flicker of light. He was pale but alive, confused but unharmed. "Alara," he whispered, awe and relief in his voice. Alara ran to him, embracing him tightly.